Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me today. Just want to do a little spin-off video from the varnish technique that I showed in the last video or the second to last video. I'm not sure what I uploaded first, but I'm just having so much fun with these pressed flowers. I just think they're so pretty and they turned out so nice that I wanted to share the next step that I use them for. So the technique was using a varnish. The video was using up labels, so I will try and remember to link it. And these are my labels here. So I went ahead and varnished a whack load of pressed flowers onto these labels. And as you can see, I might have gone off the rails a little bit. But I was just having so much fun. And I thought, I have all these pressed flowers I've collected for so long. They just sit around in my little booklet. And I thought, I need to start using them up. And I'm not going to show you how I varnish. I will show you the varnish that I use in case you don't want to check out that other video. But this is called Fusion Mineral Paint Top Coat and a Matte Finish. It's a non-yellowing varnish, but what I love about it is its flexibility. So some varnishes can dry very rigid with no flexibility. Mod Podge I find can work with this project. The only thing I find about Mod Podge is you almost have to water it down to have a thin enough consistency that it's not goopy, and then when you go to peel the labels, it cracks. But what's great about this stuff, and it is a bit pricey, but I mean, it lasts forever. And I also use it on my furniture refinishing. It lasts forever. And what I love about it is it's very flexible. And I'll show you an example here of something really thick. Where were they? Here. So these are daffodils. And I don't know if the camera will pick up how thick the pressed flower is. And these were bone dry. I had them pressed for years, and as you can see, it's super flexible. So you don't have to use any plastic coating in your journal. You don't have to put a plastic over to protect the flower. You know, it's protected, and you can rub them. You might flake off a little bit where the varnish wasn't thick enough. And the matte finish is really nice. And what I love about the varnish too is if you do it uneven when you go to ink it, you can see how the varnish absorbs differently on the ink. So you can really play with texture on the varnish as well. Lots of fun. So here's some samples, and again, very flexible. So they can go in the journal and you don't have to worry about disturbing the flowers. So here's some samples that I've done. You might hear Millie, the puppy, in the background. She's on the loose. So I've sewn here some decorative sewing stitches on some of them. Some of them I've left plain. This one I really love too. Very simplistic, but I think very elegant and romantic looking. And I'm really drawn to that kind of look in a journal. I think I might even turn this into a cover. I really like it. Another real simplistic one, just really pretty. And these majority of these plants were pressed out of my garden. The daffodils I started growing after I lost my mom because they're her favorite, and now I press them and I keep them in a journal, and I think of her every time I see a daffodil. So use what you've got around you. These ones I pressed recently on a walk, walking the puppy in the forest. This was in the video too. So if you don't have a flower press, I make my own. Here's two samples here. And I have a video on how to make these as well. And they're a bifold kind of thing. They fold on one side and then they fold open on the other. And I take these little mini ones with me and I just snap off something that's intriguing and I put it in, and I use a ribbon, and I just tie this really tight, wrap it around as tight as I can, tie a bow, and then leave it for a couple of weeks, and presto, you've got some really pretty samples. So have fun with that. Use anything. You don't have that, you just use a book. What I would recommend though is some sort of absorbent watercolor paper or blotting paper. I wouldn't use paper towel, and the only reason I don't use paper towel is it tends to stick to the wet flower as it's drying, and it also is textured and leaves behind the texture in the leaves and in the petals. So I just recommend, you know, buy yourself a cheap pad of watercolor paper at the dollar store. And the idea is that the paper is absorbent, so it helps dry the flower faster because it absorbs the moisture away from the flower. And just put that in between heavy books and weigh it down. It's that simple. So my desk is still a mess from the last video. I apologize, but I thought I really wanted to get a video in of these cute little specimens here. Here's a little tag I was starting. Let's do some. Let's just show you the process, the simple process here. So you can ink your labels prior to varnishing, or you can ink after. Now this is probably going to rock the iPhone. I apologize. It's mounted to the same table, but I've got to get some ink on these. This is the brush corduroy. So I'm just going to rub some ink on, and this will be a little damp for a while, so you can see I can go right over the flower. I don't have to worry too much about it flaking. There might be the odd flake here and there where the varnish didn't penetrate thick enough. But you'll see in the video, I don't even use much varnish. I mean, I varnished tons of flowers and I've hardly used any of the bottle. It's a great product. I actually highly recommend their paint line as well for painting things, especially furniture. That's what it's designed for. And it is fabulous paint. All right, just going to, and I get this paint line at a local shop, but you can Google Fusion Mineral Paint, I believe, and it will show you retailers close to you if you're interested in this line of paint products. They have some really cool, what's the words? Oh my gosh, my brain this morning, I tell you. Like stains and that rub-on stuff, the antiquing wax. Ugh. Knew it'd come to me eventually. I'm just using my roughed up, beaten up stamp here that I always use because I do love the delicate look of this handwriting on these stamps, especially on these backgrounds. And I like to change the orientation of the wording as well. It's more of a decorative element than functional. Now this will stay wet for a bit because that varnish is not porous. So it has to kind of evaporate and dry on top of this varnish. So if you want this to be quick, I would do the this part before I did the varnish. But why I didn't is because I wanted to play with how it absorbs differently. So you can see there's a brush varnish here and there's the paper behind it, so it absorbs different. I should have played with it more, actually. I think I will the next time I do the set of this. Okay, so I got that, and I just grab whatever paper I have handy. I've got this coffee dyed paper here, and I have one of these fun yellow full filers, which I thought could really pop. And all I do is I peel my sticker. That's the beauty of the stickers. So you can leave this shiny edge. I think I prefer it not shiny. Do I want the hole? Let's do it like this and maybe keep that hole. Keep both holes. And just stick it down. And again, if you don't want this to smear too much, just give it another minute or so. All right, let's do another one in the yellow without the holes. And all I do is I try to visually line up so that it is even. I'm going to cut this by hand, but if you're doing like something very specific, journal cover or a gift or a card cover, how pretty would this be for a birthday card? Use your cutter. But my desk is just way too full right now to pull that out. So I'm just going to give myself an even border around as best I can. You again can sew these. You can add more trimmings. I really love it. I like the bright yellow on this. I'm just going to do this, and then we'll do the other two. So depending on the paper you're sticking it to, sometimes the paper can be fibrous and you have to add some glue. So I like that. I'm going to ink around the back end of these papers. Make it a bit messy on the edge here, because I love that vintage grunge. I'm going to leave those holes for now, see if I might use them in an application. So I just make a bunch of these, and then I have them all ready to go to glue into a journal. And again, they're very flexible. Everything's dry, nothing's going to go moldy, and super flexible. And you don't have to worry about rubbing off the plant, just the ink. Okay, and the ink will settle. You just have to give it more time to dry. I'm going to do this one. Whoops. Okay, do this one here. So the thicker the plant matter, the more varnish you would have to use, and of course it will only glue a certain thickness. After so long, it's so thick it won't glue. So you have to kind of be careful of that. I'm just going to cut this one. And like I said, this is a short video today. I just wanted to show you what I do with these after I'm done. I ink this. And so I can see here, this is actually starting to peel up right here. So I can slap more varnish down because there wasn't enough varnish to glue it. Or I can sew a sewing machine stitch right through, like right through the bottom here. But I think what I'll do is I'll just add a touch more varnish, just to make sure that it's stuck down. This is my very rigid brush. I might have to weigh that down just so it sticks. So you might miss it the first time around, especially if it's a thick specimen like this, but that's okay. You just go right back to it. Let's go let that dry off camera for a sec. And then we'll put the last one on. So this isn't peeling neatly as a label would because I varnished across the seam, but it will peel clean if you just give it a little pick. All right, stick this guy here, maybe with a bit bigger border. Again, just looking at the distance on the edge. And I love using labels for this purpose. Oh, it's starting to pour again. It is a rainy day here. I have not taken the puppy for her walk yet. She's getting a bit restless. But I promise to take her. She won't let me not take her. Put my rain gear on. We're supposed to have rain for a week now, which we need, you know, as much as we don't like the cloudy days. It's necessary in spring. All right, so there we go. There's another one. And again, you could sew around that if you want. So you can have a lot of fun with these, you know, turn them into little book covers. Maybe we'll do that. See, what supplies do I have on my table? I just love this one. I think I might turn them into book covers of the same size. And that could be the back. Let's see. I need a piece for the center. What do I have kicking around here? This, it's not very thick. Just sorry, I'm just having a look. I wasn't going to do this part, but I'm kind of excited to turn it into a book cover. So I just want to see what I have handy. I don't really have anything on the desk that's thick enough. Maybe this. If I fold it in half and glue two together, and that's the same size, so it works. Give myself a little, I like soft cover spines, soft spines. I don't like rigid spines on my journals. I did at one point when I did lap books. I liked everything rigid, but now I prefer the soft spines. I find it gives me a little bit more forgiveness in the signatures as well when I don't sew them the right size, cut them the right size, which is pretty frequent for me. Okay, I think that will work. Let's make sure I got these the right way up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got just got this tape. It's just cheap tape from the dollar store, and it's fabric tape, so it's like a first aid tape. It's one of my favorite tapes. It's very strong and it's very cheap, and I like to use it because it's a soft white. My desk is such a mess. It's a soft white and it's very forgiving. Like, I can peel this off pretty easy. If I screw it up, I'm just gonna pull it over, reinforce the back fold, and then the only dilemma with this is you have to have pretty sharp scissors to get through this tape. Otherwise you tear it, and it has a really nice frayed edge, which is also really nice. But for this application, I'd like it cut a little neater, and you can see you need good scissors, which I am out of. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to do this side. And I'm just putting it where I think I want it. Try and put it straight though. That's my biggest challenge. Doing things straight. So I could leave the sewing, or I can re-sew. Maybe I'll leave a little bit of the sewing on this one. And again, if you're really going to be rough on this book, you might want to add a little bit of glue to this tape if you're concerned about it coming apart. Just make sure the orientation's right before I stick it down. I leave myself about 1/8 of an inch, roughly, in between the spine and the cover, and that just helps the folding of the page. I'm just going to pull that down. Hopefully get through it with some scissors. Or again, you could rip it if you like a little bit more beaten up. Maybe we will. I've got the muscle. Ha! It's kind of fun with the frayed edge. Okay, so there, I put the two together. Now what I like to do is I like to start curving my spine. And I just roll it in my fingers, bend it, make it flexible. And there we go. And I have a nice curved spine, which is what I like to use. I mean, that's simple, right? Just so much fun. And you can, of course, ink up the fabric, because it is fabric. You could stamp the fabric. You know what I was just thinking is I wonder if I could varnish some of the flowers to the tape. That could be something fun to try, because it's porous. So there you go. More ideas as you're crafting. Don't you just love it? Don't you just love the idea of crafting along and then more ideas pop in your head? Fabulous. Just going to smear that a bit. And then do the back. Oh, the back's done. So there we go. Just a little cover. And then you can take papers, whatever papers you have. What do I have? Don't really have tons of paper here right now. And fold your signatures in, sew those in. I'm not going to do all that today, but sew them in. You have your little book. Sew them through. Now, I often don't sew mine, like I've shown in my previous videos. I'll punch a hole on either end and tie my signatures in, because that's what I prefer to do. And then you can decorate inside your book with all these pretty little specimens you have. You know, you can do pockets, you can do tags. Just never ends, the fun with paper. And for me, flowers. I just love flowers. And I love preserving them in a book. It makes me so happy. Look at that. That's so pretty. It's just so simple. And yet romantic and elegant, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. I just love it. You could sew that right to the back and just have a tuck spot right there. And this is from a primrose. It's a primrose leaf. So there you have it. Just something simple today. I hope it inspires you to go out and nature, take your doggy or your neighbor's doggy with you and just go for a walk. Pick whatever you can find. This is the beginning of a little raspberry. We have tons of wild raspberries here. So this was early spring when they were just coming out of the ground, and it is so cute and fragile. All kinds of fun goodies. And if you're not into, pressing your own flowers, you can buy them online. I think you can get them off Amazon, I'm pretty sure, and use those. But something like this, where it reminds you of someone special, makes it just that much more special. So I hope that gave you some ideas. I hope you enjoyed today's quick little video. This guy is not quite dry yet, but he will adhere back down. And give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you again soon, everyone. Take care. Bye.